Hey folks, alright, let's get started today. I hope everyone's doing very well and all that. Please do me a favor, go ahead and read through, if you haven't already, it's been up there the whole time. Get through the disclaimer, please, read the entirety. I want you to fully understand this for educational purposes only, and of course there are substantial risks involved in trading. Probably learned that the hard way. But they're there. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get out to the charts. Hopefully we have no technical issues. I was having a little bit this morning, so I haven't been able to truly focus very much on anything. The tech issues with the sharing. I had to get in touch with the company and do all that fun stuff. So let me see. Like I say, hopefully we're not going to have any further issues here. We'll find out in just a moment. And let's see. Go to that number there. Excuse me. Okay, it looks like it came through. So just kind of resolved there. All right, very good. So give me just one moment, and we'll talk about a few things I got to talk about. Okay. All right. Yes. So really quick, just while this is occurring, I just want to point out the S&P. So it made it back up into our supply level here, and so that's where it's at this morning. These are the ones that so let's do this real quick, okay, just to kind of help you remember. So I always leave the draw tools on there as they are, you know, for obvious reasons. What is that? 1 second. Always these pop-ups. Yeah, so we can go ahead and get rid of this one here. Talked about that last week. So go ahead and get rid of all of this. There were some really great trades. I guess if you think about it, I mean, always, I suppose, is what we try to do. But last week, if you recall, this was the retest. So the entry off of that level was here. And you know, as we kind of discussed last week, you know, it was likely to get a bit of a bounce from there and so on. But yeah, so we have this upper level today. Same thing there. We already had this retest off of it, but just note that we made a higher high into the level. So let's get rid of this one, as that is not usable. And I just want to again make note of where we are right now. So this is a supply level. It was one. Well, I'll say it was one of our previous supply levels, as was this back here. Okay. And but anyway, we're going to have to contend with this first and foremost. And if we open this up, you know, could I have, like I said, many things going on. I was a little bit bummed because I missed the trade this morning that I would have taken here in the room, and I'll show that to you in a moment. But I suppose we could still look at this. And what I'll do here is just go ahead and set myself up. And you know what? Let me use the order suite for this, just so, because right now, as I'm not using all of the functionality, I just want you to see it for what it is here. So let me do a reload here, okay? All right, and we'll notice the icons are a little bit different. But what I need to do, and I'm not like super rushed to do this because these are hourly bars. I'd be surprised if we even get it. I say that because it's only 9:06. That's Eastern time, by the way. But yeah, as this is an hourly bar, most likely it'll break down before we get it, or form a little bit of a valley. But I'll go ahead and submit. It's fine. we'll see how it goes. We always have to sit back and be patient and wait for them anyway, right? So this is good because on an hourly chart I have a bit of time to set things up, right? So essentially I have about 54 minutes. But do you see this right here? What I'm trying to show you is, you see how it's falling like this? I don't think that I'm even going to get this trade because I think it's going to happen too fast. The trade that I was talking about that I missed, and once I show it to you, you'll be like, boop, yes, that was picture perfect, which is, you know, man, it happens. It is what it is. But here I'm going to put the tool to use, right? So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to just confirm this. And now again, I could go here and just sell at a limit, right? But the issue there is, if I were going to do that, I would have wanted to do it on on the retest of the higher high. So let's go back here, okay? So right around 4170 is where I would have wanted to, again, if we made a higher high into the level, so on and so forth. That has since already happened. So my next best choice would be to take a breakdown. So you know, let price accumulate. If you've been through you know, where we talk about the accumulation, you know what I'm talking about here, right? So what we want to see goodness, I'm sorry if I may have to pause in a second. Yeah, see, it's breaking down as we speak. That's a stinker. There it went. Uh-oh. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Yep. So whereas it is, it has clearly accumulated. It's accumulating on a smaller time frame, right? So what I want to see is accumulation on the corresponding time frame. That is to say, the 60-minute chart. In any case, if I went down in time frame, I likely would have arrived at that. Well, I'll go over onto the other time frame before I start doing that. But what I want to do is I want to say, look, okay, here's the situation. I would like to go, I'm going to set up, I don't need to adapt in this case. Okay, so remember the entry zone. All right, when I set off my order, I can specify where I want that to occur. So for all intents and purposes, you know, here's my zone. I can go, if I want to go back here and draw that zone around my specific area, you know, I can do that. And these come into play, especially if I wanted to, I'll tell you what, even on an hourly chart though, that's going to be a while. Let's say that I wanted to confirm that with a down bar, okay? So one of the options would be, in that situation, would be my down. Give me just one second. Let me see if I can even do that. I'm going to come back to this. You can see how, so basically what I did right here, by the way, before I do that, you can see here I had the order prepared. As a matter of fact, you can see down here where it was submitted, looking for a DVD, but I had it, you know, looking for the DVD inside of my entry zone. May still go up there and do that. You can see there it's forming a bit of an RBR, but I needed it on the downside, and I wanted it to happen inside of this tiny little range up here. By the way, the trade right there, right? So that's your picture perfect trade. You all know what I'm talking about. That is literally my favorite trade, and I wasn't here at that time. Well, I was here, but not in. I don't even know if I had NinjaTrader open platform and whatnot. I was you know, had to pay attention to working on getting the resolution to the room. So anyway, that's okay. Here, well, let's do it like this. All right, and then what I can do is I can let's do this. I don't really need the entry zone. Trying to think if I want to use. So I have to flip-flop the charts. Hold on one second. I'll come right back. Let me look at the other. I told you we would look at the down bar. Okay. Let's do it like this. probably already gotten one. So with the PFA installer, right? Come on, data. That's yeah, that's interesting. So obviously there's no data on the chart. Can't calculate. What's going on here? Sorry. Let me try this once more. I haven't seen. I don't know why it would not load. Yeah, so something's wrong because it's literally not even loading the bar type, folks. So I've not seen this. Of course, I haven't used it in a bit, but okay. Let me just try to reload the data. If this doesn't work, I'm not going to spend any time on this if this doesn't work. I'm not sure why it wouldn't load the Renko bars. Oh, you know what? You know what, folks? I bet I have not used them. I believe that's probably what it is. I recall there were some code breaking changes in NinjaTrader's most recent update, and I have not used the bar type, so I'm going to have to take a look at that a little bit later. That's fine. No worries. We don't really need that, like I say. Okay, so, I mean, this is rather unfortunate here. Let's put a sell entry in there, okay? No break even. So we're going to sell on the break of said low, all right? I'm going to pull it in like so. And what I'm trying to do is just, I'm putting the tool to use here so that you can see how quickly and efficiently we're doing that, right? So then, for all intents and purposes, all I need to do is kind of drag this up, you know, something like that. All right, so let's go at an actual trade setup here. What I would want to do, and remember what I was saying from the beginning of the session, I thought that this was going to likely move a little bit too fast. So it did, obviously, and there's nothing that I can do about that. Now, mind you, this is not let me turn these off before that gets a little confusing. What I'd be looking for here is that accumulation. Overall, remember what I was saying, we're into that supply, but now since I missed the actual supply, the order flow, if you will, right, which as I told you, it was up around that 4170. It's not guesswork, folks. You know exactly how I'm doing that, okay? So there's always method to our madness, right? What seems like madness isn't madness at all. It's in fact extraordinarily methodical. So beyond that, however, what I'm looking for is on the hourly chart to accumulate, okay? I'm looking for an accumulation, and then I would ideally want to get down to about 4155. Okay? So I told you earlier that that could be, you know, for all intents and purposes, it was already happening on the smaller time frame. As you've seen it definitely did. But this is just going to take a little bit of time here. So unfortunately, it will take, let's see, it's 9:16, so it's going to take a minimum of hour and 44 minutes to be precise. An hour and 44 minutes minimum. But what I would want to see here is an accumulation with an inability to take out a low. What I don't want to see is continued decline, because that at said point will disregard my desire. In other words, what I don't want to do, we talked about this the other day, right? What I don't want to do is go down and reach this previous demand. Yeah, I don't want to do that, because that's the whole point in my interest here, is to sell to get to that, right? But if I get to it, that in and of itself I will disregard at that point. And why is that? Well, look at what's the market doing? You know, it's not trying to trick us or anything. It's extraordinarily clear what it's doing right now. I mean, it has been trending up exponentially for a little bit now, right? Since last week, we started to ascend, and it really has not looked back. Couple of things that we talked about last week. If you remember, we had that scalp trade short from there. That worked out pretty well. We went, I think we might have been we were in one of our sessions, and we talked about, I can still see my line there, we talked about it breaking back and looking for demand to go, back to the upside. Let me get rid of that. That's obviously no longer, relevant. But the same thing that I've seen over here on the 5-minute chart, remember I told you my trade, I didn't take the trade, but this morning, the one that I would have taken in the room, and essentially the one that I'm talking about right now on a different time frame, okay, this right here, that's what I want, okay? But this is a 5-minute chart, different picture, okay? Well, not different picture, different time frame, same picture, I should say, all right? So we were going up until we aren't, and we put in a very nice supply level there. And so it is what it is. So if I draw that there, I'm going to just go in and grab its entirety, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here. Come on, Will. You can do it. There we go. All right. So I'm going to pull it in like that, right? However, as I said, I want to draw it to its entirety. So if I look at the level like that, that's my supply right there. So right now, as we speak, most likely price is going to rally back up, okay? And if and when we do, what I want to watch for is how price is going to react at that 41.67. Given that, I don't mean to be bouncing around too much, but what I want to stay focused on are these two charts on the left, because over here the direction is abundantly clear. However, what else is clear is that we are at an absolute stopping point. So I would, if anything, and this may be ironic, it always is, right? So, whoa, we're dropping, and then we're looking to hit the buy button. Oh, we're going straight up, we're going over, and we're looking at where can I, potentially, hit the sell button either to close a position or to maybe even enter a short position, So there's always a level of irony, right? It seems that way, at least. It doesn't, or it shouldn't, because everything else we do is the same thing. We wait for a discount to come in the mail or the email these days, whatever it is, and then we instantly go buy it, right? So did price go up or down when I used that discount? Obviously down. We got a better price. So if I were to turn around and sell that same item, what if Best Buy, this would be crazy. Here's how crazy, trading is. But literally, what if Best Buy did this? What if Best Buy sent me a discount today and said, you know what, you can come get this brand new Samsung 50K, I'm joking, whatever. But you can come get this fancy TV for 20% off, but today only. You have to, you got to get on in here and get it, in other words, right? But you can get it for 20% off before it even comes out. Maybe it's set to come out next week, but you're a special, whatever, elite, or not, Geek Squad person or whatever. I'm just trying to, it doesn't matter. None of this is really relevant. But what if they sent you an email or me, and they said, here's 20% off today only, great, cool. So then I go in and I buy the TV at 20% off. And then Best Buy turns around and sends me an email back and says, hey, we didn't realize we probably shouldn't have sold those TVs. So I tell you what, if you bring that TV back today, we'll pay you the going MSRP plus 30%. Do you think that they would be in business long? Right? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you're sitting here probably right now and you're thinking, why would he even use that type of analogy? It's ridiculous. And you're thinking, that is so silly. Like, who would even ever do that? My goodness, right? Well, if that's what you're thinking, then you might want to look in the mirror because that's exactly what we all do in trading, right? We look at it as if that's crazy, but the reality is, if Best Buy did it, we would buy it and sell it immediately without any hesitation, and we would be thrilled that we did it. In the markets, price goes down, we get scared, right? We do the opposite. Price goes up, and we get excited, like I want to just buy it. And so I laugh at myself, right? Because obviously I have the same, emotions, if you will, or whatnot, attachment to price per se. But yeah, I mean, we totally do the opposite of what we should do. Buy low and sell high and everything. So what I want to do is just conceptualize where we are over here in the bigger picture. We have gone straight up for multiple days in a row, and as you are likely aware, this doesn't typically happen, not that often, right? So yeah, we'll go up a few days or whatnot. Sure, of course we do that. What I'm saying is, we don't just continue. For example, I mean, just go look at this. So we were in an upward direction here, right? Obviously we are over here. So we're up here, but we get 1, 2, 3 candles rejection, right? 1, 2, 3 candles rejection. Up here, not really. You got rejected right there, but 1, 2, 3 candles rejected. Go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're on the 5th one, so that might be the rejection candle. Okay, I'm not trying to throw out a statistic here or anything like that. This was just ironic that it was pretty consistent 3-bar rejection over there, I guess you'd say, right? But that's not what I'm saying at all. I could care less how many bars it is, but ultimately I know that price doesn't just go up without getting rejected eventually. Here you had a 4-bar rejection, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's rejected. Now let me ask you if you find irony in the fact that this is the same level. Okay, same level here, meaning we had a 4-bar rally. On the 5th day into this level, it fell away, and not just a little bit, like a lot, right? Now go over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're on the 5th bar into the same level. So again, I just want to point out that this is, I guess I would refer, well, you can refer to it as whatever you want, supply or, but for simplistic sake, this is a stopping point, right? So this is where I want to stop with the buying. I don't want to buy here because every time we've been here, for whatever reason, we get substantially rejected. And you see this right here. Remember, I'm talking about this price action right here. When we were there last time, we said we anticipated a higher high into that, a bounce away. We had no idea that we were going to get this enormous decline all the way back to the lower demand. Same thing today. We don't know there's no way for us to know that we're going to, you know, how far we're going to go. But we can anticipate it, right? So this area has already been weakened, okay? So just want to make that clear. I've pointed this out now multiple times. Let me turn these off for a second, okay? And, you know, when we clean up the chart, what we can see is up above, we have 42.7681, which is obviously not a number in the S&P. So 42.76 3/4, we shall call it. That's our supply up above, right? Well, the demand in the market, which I will say has put in a bit of demand around that 4,000 mark. Okay, so there is a level there now, which we could, I suppose we could mark that in, but yeah. So as a matter of fact, let's do that. Yeah, let's go ahead and put that in just so that everyone's aware of it. Okay. See if I can. Yeah, that works great. Oh, let me reload the Ninja script because my labels, see my labels not showing there? There we go. So 4,000, 4,001. Okay. So that's a long way down though, and even beyond that, we have, again, I'm going to remind about that 3,600 number, way down there. Okay. So I'm at a stopping point. I want to halt the buying, consider the selling if I'm a counter trend style trader. All right. Am I? Interesting. So if I'm going to counter trend trade, I want to do it really short term. And this is what I wanted right there. So I can't go back and get that one. Of course, I wish we would have been in the room at that time and just everything would have been great. And we would have gotten to see this, this beautiful supply level. But here's what I believe is going to happen. Potentially we could drop down, right? But watch what we're going to do right in through this area here. So let's go ahead and put this in, right? Let's see here. So at approximately 41.53.5, again, if we get down there, but I believe we're going to go down, and we're going to find that there are buyers there today. And the reason for that is pretty simple. And I know it contradicts everything that I've said, but let me finish before you go, you know, thinking that I'm contradicting myself, because I am certainly not. What I am saying is the bigger picture is telling me to stop, right? So as far as, well, let me say it different. Any buying up here would be, in my opinion, extremely aggressive. Not just opinion, but based on methodology. So any buying up here would be very aggressive and or considered very aggressive. However, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, right? It doesn't mean that the buyers aren't going to step in. Now, what I believe is likely to happen is that we will decline, or rather, if we decline, approximately that 41.53.5, as I said, we'll likely have a bit of a bounce from there. Now that's going to be a very important area today, because if we just go ahead and blow through it, well, you know, makes sense, doesn't it? Because look at, as I continuously say, we arrived at our supply this morning, but you have all of this to contend with. Look at that. So if you think for a second that the buyers in the market, in this particular market being the S&P, if you think that they're just going to step back and say, okay, no, that's not how it works, right? No, so the buyers aren't going to do that. This is a relentless bit of an uptrend here, yes? And for that reason, they're not going to want it to end. And why is that? It's easy money. It's easy money. You know what I'm saying? Here, by the way, we want to watch this right here. Okay. All right. So at 41.58 3/4, there you go. Now it's protected, right? Like that. And the reason for that is because that's where it's going to find support and so on and so forth. All right. So I suppose I could close that out, but you know, just leave it as is in the event that it does decide to further decline, right? Excuse me. So do you see how okay, number one, let's just, as we watch price, Likely there's a little bit of a level right around our entry, okay? But you see how I told you to, like right there, it would find that support. So what our goal, as you always know, is to help understand the function of price. What is it trying to do and why? So those are the hows and the whys. It's not enough to do something. We That's funny. I think it was on. I've been saying the same thing for years and years and years. It's not enough to know to do something. We want you to understand how and why you're doing it. All right? And so to say that I'm just going to submit an entry, it's not really enough. I want to know how and why I'm doing that. So what is the function of price? Well, number one, it's a gravitation, right? Goes from buyers to sellers. It's as simple as that. It goes and it finds the abundance of buyers and it turns up. It goes and then it is seeking the abundance of sellers and it goes down. And that's just how it happens. Now watch what's going to happen to further prove that point. All right? So we're seeing price decline this morning for obvious reasons. And if you go back to the recordings, the sessions and so on and so forth, we've had this level up here pointed out for, I don't even know. It's a long time, a long time. 3 weeks maybe, something like that. Yeah, so anyway, took a while to get there. But what it's trying to do is now make a determination. So let's get rid of this over here, by the way. I don't want any confusion on the chart. So it's going to want to make a determination of buyers versus sellers now, right? See, the market just opened and it is up. The index right now is up 2 points, 0.75, 2, 3. Anyway, so it's approximately 2 points up right now. So there's a gap, which of course it's going down to try to fill that gap. It will most likely do it. I would absolutely bet on that. And that gap is in alignment, which appears, I'd have to go to the day session to see it exactly, but it obviously appears, because right now we're up 0.5, so it appears to be right in line with that level. Do you find that to be ironic? You shouldn't, because all of this is self-fulfilling. It happens because we make it happen. It happens because we're all seeing the same thing based on a different picture, different methodology, if you will. It's super ironic, but you'll see the moving average crossovers. You'll see the Fibonacci patterns, retracements, extensions. You'll see the supply-demand levels. You'll see the support resistance lines. All of this stuff happening simultaneously. All right, especially at the reversals. The problem with some of them, or it could be a benefit as well, but let's say the moving average crossover. If I'm looking to sell the market here, okay, and let's say I put on, use some values. I don't care what they are, folks. I'm not going to spend time on this, but I'm just saying most common numbers, right, would say 50 and 200. So you have your 50 and 200 period moving average crossover. But the problem with that, in my opinion, is that you're selling typically. So like it would probably be, your moving average crossover would probably be, it kind of looks something like this maybe, okay? So that might be like your 50 or 200 period. But look at where you're selling. You know what I'm saying? So you get far superior entries at the levels. It's never going to get better than at the levels because that's the typically the turning point. So I would rather be the seller, but then you say, well, what if you get that wrong? Well, yeah, of course, but what if I get that wrong? So I would rather take this 3 times rather than take that 1 time. Okay, so that's just something to ponder. But anyway, what you can see already, now it hasn't hit our level exactly yet, so we'll just give that a moment. What did we get it to? Let me see this right here. Hold on a second. Yeah, so it did. Okay, no, I would expect it to go a little bit lower maybe. I was trying to say that would make sense if it turned there, but yeah, around the 53.5. So again, if we drop down there, though, watch what's going to happen. The buyers are going to start fighting back because this is really their first opportunity, if you will. So we have poor quality demand. Again, let me restate that, poor quality demand, okay? But it is there. And due to the fact that we're in a significant momentum uptrend, as I said, they don't want to give in. It's easy money, right? So as long as they can keep this thing moving in an uptrend and the levels hold, they're just going to keep, you know, stashing it in their pockets, metaphorically. So yeah, they don't want that to end. And as you can already see, if I draw this to its entirety, okay, you can already see where it found support off of this area, and that's, you know, that's why it's bouncing up. Now that's not relevant, you know, if I were going to say place a trade, of course, but suffice to say, it's certainly interesting to watch. So we may come down, okay, and then I can go over here. All right, so again, I want to keep all of this information readily available. Major resistance. I don't think anyone can denote that fact, right? I suppose you could try, but yeah, so probably shouldn't do that. Major resistance here, all right? Contradictory to the direction in and of itself. So when we reach supply, what are we always doing? Not just some of the time. I mean, always we're going up. Always. When we're revisiting demand, we're always going down. You see? So yeah, of course we're in an an upward direction and or trend here on the bigger picture. But as I said, in order to get back to that resistance and or supply, we had to go up. There was no question about it. You can't, you know, we can't sell something if we can't get up to it. So anyway, all right, so that's what's happening here. And we reached it. We reached our 60-minute supply. We've now since fell away from it. However, what we didn't know way back a few weeks ago or whatever, when we pointed this level up here out, you know, what we didn't know is that there was going to be this level of, again, poor quality, suffice to say, but it is there, okay? So we didn't know that that demand level is going to be right there. There's no way for us to have predicted that, okay? We have to wait for price to get there for us to see what's going to accumulate. Well, it did accumulate, and now we're going to go contend with it. So for all intensive purposes, the likelihood of this would be so in this case, look at what I'm doing with the tool. Okay, so I want to be very efficient. This order suite is a monster when it comes to efficiency. So I don't need my entry zone. I have these options here. I can use them or not. I could, hypothetically, I could say, you know what? Let me go down and use the entry zone at this level. So for all intensive purposes, I can now go down. I'm going to do this actually. I'm going to show you this so that, okay. So we're going to go over here to the smaller time frame because I want to confirm this entry. So in such a case, I do want a bracket order, and that's to say I want my stop and my target. And I don't need a break even. Okay, we're going to go without a break even. I'm just going to hit the target or I'm not. I'm going to do it or I'm going to fail. And plus, since I'm sitting here watching it, obviously I can move that stop at any time, kind of like I did a moment ago. But I am going to use the entry zone, and I don't need it to adapt because I'm actually, you know what? I will have it adapt because I'm going to use an up bar entry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go draw from 41.53 to 41.47. Okay, and I'm going to attempt an up bar entry. What I say from 41, let me put 53 to 47 it was, yes? So then we're going to go down to 53. And I can pull this back over price is what I like to do, just so it gives me some, some further information there. Okay. Now I don't want to pull that back too far because I have it set to adapt right now, which means that any lower low that is made, the zone will adapt down. Okay, that's what it's going to do. It's going to adapt. So the beautiful thing here is, right? So let's see what I'm doing. Number one, I'm saying I don't want to just take any entry. No. That's not what I'm saying. I want to go. Number one, let me go submit that. Okay. So I'm saying now I want to take a long entry, but I want to confirm that entry. Now, if I get the entry, that is to say if I get what we specified here, an up bar, I'm not just looking at any old buy, I'm confirming this with a positive bar. Positive meaning an up bar, that the close is higher than the open. Yes? In other words, here it'll be a green bar. If I get that green bar, execute a long trade. Stop would in this particular case be at 41.47. But the caveat here is that that entry must be within this area, this shaded area. That's the entry zone. So what I'm now able to do is set conditions on my location for trading. And I'm saying, look, I get it. Nothing's perfect. And I'd like to confirm that, but still this is my risk. And I'm not, no, it is what it is, right? This is my risk, and I'm going to stick to that. Okay? So either give me the entry inside of this zone or I won't take it. And that's what's happening. Now, it's just obviously waiting for an up bar to close. Okay? And clearly we've not gotten that yet. Now, if I want to open my my risk up a little bit, I can absolutely do that. In other words, I could grab this and kind of take it a little bit higher. And that makes sense because at the end of the day, it's already into the area, right? So let's go back over here. Remember what I told you, okay? So we're into the area. You see the buyers are already stepping back in? Yeah? All right. So then over here, it would make sense to give it a little bit more flexibility, more room, just because if I'm going to confirm that, well, it's probably already bouncing back up anyway. Know what I mean? Okay? Something like that. So I could say, okay, well, if it gives me an up bar anywhere up to 41.56, I'm still willing to take that trade. Again, I'm in control here, and that's the whole point, is I'm mitigating, you know, risk based on location. Do I need that? Well, I don't need it per se, but I mean, at such a point, if I tell it to take an up bar entry, you know, then it's going to take an up bar entry. So if that bar doesn't happen, if that bar doesn't happen until up here, well, I didn't specify a location, did I? So it, you know, if it gave me a green bar and it closes up here, then that's what it would be, and I would have a huge trade, meaning risk. I'd have a huge risk. So again, with the entry zone, I can specify where that occurs. Now, furthermore, the adapting is saying, yeah, but we know that we get bull and bear traps. You know what I mean? It's common, yes? So what if it dips down a little bit? Well, hopefully it will, and we'll be able to see what happens here. So I can explain it. You all understand this already, most likely, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay? So in the event that we dip below 41.47, the entry zone is going to adapt to the lower low in such a case as long as it does not supersede my maximum risk specified in the settings, which I have a big number. I have it set to 1,000 just because, and that's 1,000 ticks, by the way. So I set it to this enormous number because I either specify the location and I don't let things adapt, and I just say either I get that entry or I don't. Or if I'm going to use the entry zone, then furthermore, if I want it to adapt, I want price to be able to move. But whatever my risk is, let's say that my risk, just say that this is my maximum risk, okay? What would then happen is the entire zone would creep down, okay? So whatever the size of this zone is, it just keeps moving down, okay, until I get my up bar. And then at said point, it's a locked-in trade, okay? It would execute on the up bar, and the stop would be below whatever the lowest low was that has formed, unless I make some manual alteration to that. All right. Yeah. So this is just doing it for me basically, which is ideal. Okay. So watch what's happening. I just wanted to show you this. Watch what's happening. You see how we have 7:45. So we've got about probably 4 minutes and change left on this. But if that forms an up bar here, okay, so then we might get that that entry there. We'll come back to that in just a moment. So over here again, we've declined into this, and I want to remind you of what I've said from the beginning of the session. Look at where we are. Stopping point, right? So am I super interested in going to buy the market? No, absolutely not. I told you, no. What I'm actually more interested in is having a substantial pullback, then buying the market, okay? So, hey, look, if price were to pull back to 4,100 today, there we go, okay? Now, that would make sense. You know, it's a more substantial, it gets me away from this resistance, doesn't it? Then all I need to do is go look for demand. I need for demand to form. Now, I can do that manually, or I can go put my zones on and let it do the work for me. All right. But yeah, so let's take a look. Again, remember the function of the market. I'm not trying to be sarcastic there, but I mean it literally. The function of the market is what I'm interested in, and that's what I've always tried to educate on, because that, if I know how the markets function, I know what it's I know what it's likely to do, right? Okay, with that level of accuracy and all that. So, as we said from the well, a few weeks ago was the supply level. We said that multiple times. But then we go on and we say, well, now we're watching it in real time. It's already hit our supply level. It hit that 4170, which is where the higher high came in. All that makes sense that we would have a decline down. But the buyers, as we said early on, were down around that 41.53.5 down to the 47, right? Potentially. And they could be a little bit lower. It may let price go a little bit lower or whatnot. I'm not concerned with any of that, okay, because I'm not interested in buying the market here anyway. Why would I do that when I, could have bought the market way down here? Remember where we were looking at being the potential buyer was right around 38.50. 38.50. We're at 41.50 right now. That's 300 points higher, okay? So if I look at the Best Buy example that was so funny and ridiculous, not that any of you said that, but I'm saying it, for us, it's that concept all over. Okay, buy low and sell high. And right now, I see this as a scalper's first opportunity today. They're going to say, well, we're closing a gap. We're arriving into an overnight demand level. Again, a poor quality one, but it is there. Okay, so we're arriving at that, and that's just my first opportunity. Most likely, it will fail, and it will fail because we are severely overextended on the upside, right? Remember what we just talked about a moment ago? 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, okay, and then potentially rejection. And what I was then going to do, as I told you this morning, it was moving the way that it appeared to me. I couldn't predict it, but as I said, I didn't think we would get that here on the 60-minute chart, because just the way that visually it was, I thought it moved too fast. Okay, and it did, way too fast. Didn't get the entry here, but as a reminder, this is the picture that I'm looking for. Yes, I mean it's so perfect, isn't it? Isn't this what we look for all the time? All the time, all the time, folks. So this is not. I mean, this is so methodical, and there's no way we should miss those unless, as Will has his excuse, he's dealing with things for business and getting the room running and all that, but, it is what it is, okay? I don't really need an excuse, just like you don't, but as you know, I'm not a scalper. So, but it's, why do you use it, Will? Well, because it's wonderful for people to see, because the whole seeing is believing adage and all of that. Yeah, so I need things to move fast sometimes just so that I can give you the visuals and show it to you, okay, so that you can see it pan out over and over and over again. I am not saying that we're always right. We are definitely not always right. Always like to be, if I could, but I can't, okay? It's just not going to happen that way. So that's okay. No worries on any of that, but we'll keep giving it our best, yes? All right. So let me see. Let's see. What I really want to do I could keep this toggled on, I suppose, if I wanted to. I think I want to do that. I really want a demand level to form, so maybe that will happen during the session. But kind of look out here, as most likely price is going to go lower. All right, but we'll see. I'm just going to wait and see if they demand. In other words, take this picture right here, flip it, just flip it over. Okay, that's it. And so there you'd have these big red bars would be green bars, and they'd be on the upside. Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm looking for. And why would I do that? Remember where we are right here. Remember what I've said literally from the beginning of this session? 41.53.5. What we're going to do is most likely drop down there, and then the buyers are going to fight back, right? So the function of the market. Let's get that right, because the rest of it just comes. It is what it is. Okay, that's about the best way I have to say it. It's always going to do this. It's always going to do this, and the difference is the time frame. It's just bigger traders. I say bigger as in like larger accounts, maybe. Let's call it the big or the smart money, etc. You're going to have the big money. You're going to have the medium. You're going to have the small. And again, it's not to say that people or entities or whatever with massive amounts of money don't trade the small time frames, although I don't believe they do that much. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm just simply I'm putting a term on it, right? And I do believe that to be somewhat true. I don't think the huge money in the market's too interested in scalping. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know of any. Yeah, I don't really know of any. So, okay. So that's what's happening right now. The battle is on. Okay. And what I want to do now is if we make a higher high, that's to say, if we rally above 41.71 3/4, okay, I will rinse and repeat. So that would be ideal, actually. So I go up, okay, and I would look for this picture right. I want you to map that picture in your mind. Literally map that picture in your mind right there, because it's never going to look any better. I mean, that right there is like the poster child of supply levels, okay? It's a beautiful one. Now, it's what I, as you all know, call immediate, though. And that's an important distinction there, isn't it? Because if that supply level would have happened, a month ago, well, we'd be having a different conversation right now. I'd point it out, and I'd say, well, yeah, here's a supply level or whatever. But again, very different conversation. So I want that supply level to happen, and then I want to go get it. And the reason that I want that to occur is because that's when the order flow is at its best, the most. There's a significant amount of order. Think about it this way. If I am the seller, anywhere in here, right? So let's say that I use some crazy examples. Again, we're on a 5-minute chart, so I am being super exaggerative right now, but that's okay. So anyway, let's say that I'm Goldman Sachs. Not a Goldman Sachs trader. I'm talking about the institution. Okay, big money. Let's say. So I come in here with like 1 million sell orders or whatever. Again, I'm exaggerating everything. But I come in here with 1 million sell orders. Okay, what do you think is happening right there? Right, when price leaves it like that so fast, there's no way for all of those orders to get executed. And so the reason that it would leave so fast is because there's no opposing orders. Again, folks, I don't want to be taken out of context. Please take my words lightly. So I'm being exaggerative right now. I'm not saying that there's absolutely zero buyers, but let's be realistic here, okay? So 1 million sell orders there. It drops abruptly because there is not even close to the amount of buyers over here that there were sellers over here. And we know that's true because it went down, and it went down fast. Now, right there, there's a tiny little pause, which is ironically right on this level here. Okay, so the reason that it pauses right there is because, you know, you got a level here, and so on, right? Anyway, so when I'm Goldman Sachs, and when I push price so fast, I go, man, okay, that's a stinker. Only got, man, you kidding me? I only got 300,000 of those executed, okay? But here's what they're doing. 50,000 other things too, right? So they're watching the order flow. I don't know what they do. I'm not Goldman Sachs. I'm joking around. But whatever they're doing, so by the time, so this is, again, a small time frame. By the time I can process my thoughts and I go reevaluate, well, do I really want to hold on to those orders, or do I want to cancel them, or I don't know what price is already back there, right? So, but that's why it's important to happen abruptly. If we go back to the level really fast, then they really don't have much time to reevaluate, and thereby they just leave those limit orders there, waiting for the remaining 700,000 to get filled. And then what happens? That. You know what I mean? So, what if that same level would have happened a month ago? Well, now they've had a month to reevaluate, right? So not only that, but they've had ample amounts of other trades, most likely, because a lot happens in a month. So maybe they didn't have the liquidity to leave those orders at that level for the entire month, you know, whatever it is. But I'm just saying, time is an absolute virtue in trading. And I don't mean that exaggerative there. I mean literally, it's a matter of time. So the longer these levels sit out there, I know it's debatable. A lot of people are going to have that debate. But my thought process is based on sheer logic, common sense, if you will, okay, and experience in just watching this happen over the many years. And if you sit here and listen to me talk about it and commentate, if you will, you're going to see it too. There's no way not to. As I always say, seeing is believing. So we just need to walk through this, talk about it, what's going to happen, what's most likely to happen, and then let's just watch it, right? So anyway, so the supply level, based on any time frame, any chart, whatever, it is relative to just general time. So here we have a 5-minute level. I would want that to come back, you know, again, relatively fast, because if that 5-minute level is there for, you know, I don't know, a few days, it's going to lose some of its value to me. Now, one might say, yeah, but it turns at the small levels most of the time, even after months. But no, that's true. The difference is there's so many little levels, right? If I go to this chart, this time frame, if you will, look at all these levels. I mean, there's a, you know, not quality level, I'm saying that, but there's a bunch of them. So the difference is more of these fail the longer they're on the chart. Now, if you're really good at defining levels, and I'm not trying to say that you're not good if some of your levels fail, right? All of us do that. What I'm saying, if you're really good at it, though, that's not the only thing you're looking at, number one, which is probably the most important thing. But that's not the only thing you're looking at. You're looking at location, multiple time frame location, etc. Okay, larger time frame supply demand levels, and so on and so forth. So you're not just looking at it and going, you know, yeah, there's a level, so I'm going to trade it. No. You're going to take into account location and other things to that extent, direction, location, altitude. So what you're going to come to find, though, is based on time. Here's the problem, okay? How many levels can you count on this chart? I can see a lot. I mean, you know, my eyes just kind of... But when you get good at defining levels, you understand, number one, as I said, location, and then you also start to qualify and quantify the levels, and then you know what it takes to to do that, to quantify a level, is very important. So now I would still, I absolutely would agree that it's going to turn at a smaller time frame level. It almost always does, but okay, it's very specific levels. Now I'm not just looking at all the levels on the price chart. Remember, look at this. Look at what it's done since we started talking now. All right, and now watch what happens when we get back up here. I told you from the beginning of the session, yes? So watch what happens when we get back up around 41.67. Yeah. I mean, I guess if we get there, we're already kind of turning down. There's a level. That's not a level that I would trade, by the way. Now it may turn down substantially from it. Doesn't change the fact that this level right here does not meet my criteria. In addition to that, this level up here I would not sell again either. Okay, but I still want to watch it. I want you to see what happens when we get there. So what's up with that, Will? Why would you say that if it's not tradable? Well, I still enjoy watching supply and demand function, right? It's what continuously maintains my my confidence. So I have to watch all the time, even when I'm not going to trade them. Just again, and it's also for educational purposes and all that good fun stuff. But the reality is, we're on a 5-minute chart, okay? So I can't expect for the Goldman Sachs's and the Bank of America, the BOAs and the Merrill Lynch's, and so on. I can't just expect them to keep trading and forcing price to turn at my 5-minute level, right? And I laugh at that as jokingly because, I mean, ask yourself the question, do you think that the actual institution is out trading a 5-minute chart? Maybe. I'm not saying that they're not. I don't know. Again, I'm not Goldman Sachs, but I can tell you I don't think they are. I think they're a little bit more interested in the big moves in the market. And that doesn't happen at all these 5-minute levels. More often it happens at your more significant levels, as such to say daily and even weekly and monthly, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so again, we have this decision that's being made here. We've rallied, we touched our level here, all right, and then we rallied almost all the way back to the top. So we came close. What did we make it? 41.64-ish, just shy thereof. So this is what I wanted you to see, but obviously I wanted it to go up and hit the level. That would have been much better. But again, we don't always get what we want, and that's okay. We have to accept that. That being said, this is the function of the market. Go down, close the gap, find the demand, push off of it. Sellers are here. We want to be very mindful of that. So if I'm buying up here, as I said, it is a scalp trade. And for whatever reason, I think I forgot, and I apologize about this a minute ago, I forgot to, when I canceled that order, I forgot to reload my Ninja script because I made an alteration to show you guys and gals the order suite without the zones and so on, and I forgot to reload. Anyway, so my order didn't kick off, so I should probably I just need to compile it. It's okay. I'll do a little reload there. But anyway, the point that I was going to make to you earlier, though, is remember on the up bar, so this is what would have happened. Kicked off the long entry there. You get the point. So that's my fault on that one. That's all right. It happens. I'll look back into that. It was within the entry zone and so on, so something I did was wrong there. But that's okay. Yeah, no worries on that. All right. So let me reiterate what I've said from before. If we make a higher high, whatever it was, 41. Let's find it again. 71.75, 41.71.75. I want to go up, and ideally, I want to arrive at approximately that 41.80 number. And that's a big if. So if we make that higher high, I'll just rinse and repeat, and I'll look for this setup right here. Okay. All right, let me get through the, yeah, absolutely. Let me go back because I'm sorry, I missed some questions. I see this now. Oh, so it's, hey, Benny, so you're using the, the PFA Ranko there, and but are you using the latest version of NinjaTrader's platform, or are you still on the one of their previous versions? I think probably you're up there, but let me know, because if there's an issue with if there's a code breaking, thing like that, yeah, I want to be aware of that, right? So we can get that maybe looked at or something. But so just let me know, if you come across that. But I'm glad that there was a down bar, though, is what you're saying. So I could have submitted that. Entry. Yeah, I appreciate you letting me know that. All right, very good. Okay, Deepak, can you please show us the primary zone settings for the current ES chart being used? The primary zone settings. Yeah, let me go. Hold on a minute. I have to. Excuse me. So I have to make a change here. It's going to kind of mess with things again because I'm going to do the code. But yeah, so you said the primary sets for the SP. Well, which one? So well, I guess it's all the same. But is there a specific time frame that you're looking at or anything like that? Actually, let me reset to the template here. Okay. All right. So, is there something that you wanted to see? Are you looking at the time frame, or are you referring to the settings like this? Okay. So you can see that. That will help the most, I imagine. So default is what I have it set to, right? So in other words, this right here is a 60-minute zone, because I have it now. If I change that, now this becomes applicable, and the time frame value would no longer be 60. It would be whatever I've submitted here, right? So no, I keep that on default unless I'm using, if I want to put multiple time frames on there or something. But yeah, that's typically. Is there something else that you needed to see? Okay. Yeah, the daily 6 minutes. Yeah, correct. Right. And so again, I'm using one template, and that's the same one that you have or got, with the latest release. And yeah, so this is exactly. So again, I'll go here and just reset the template, right? Which means that I'm setting it back to the default version, which is again the same template that you have. And this is what you'd see. Default, again, this is irrelevant. I think we're maybe in the, we'll look at hiding that. We'll see. I'm gonna see what we can do with that, hiding the non-applicable settings at corresponding times. So that's what you'd see there. The 100 retest. I don't have the hesitation zones on. Other than that, should be pretty straightforward. And then one other thing that I should say, none of this right now is relevant. The volume ratio, the value area, the volume profile, none of that is relevant because you see here how I have the performance mode enabled? Yeah. So that's just removing functionality that I am not using on a day-to-day basis. So I don't always use the volume information. I try to sometimes just simplify things a little bit more. So oftentimes I'm not even using that. But so I'll put it in performance mode and speed things up. Okay, 811. Yeah, you're on the latest version. Yeah, thank you for letting me know that. I'll look into it. Something obviously I have let me make sure I even had it. Yeah, I'll look at what my I had several issues this morning. Like I said, maybe today's not my day based on technology, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. All right. What if you go through it? All right, Brian, you were saying, what if you go through it? Would a VTCS or a DVD at the RVM in the correct location on both considered shifts? Let's go back and revisit that question, Brian. What was I doing at that time? You said, what if you go through it? Are you talking about? We'll just turn these off, okay? What are you talking about? Meaning, what was I? Are you talking about this level right here, or are you talking about this supply level up here? because, well, there's really only 3 levels here on the SP that I've talked about today, and I'm going to move a little bit fast because I want to move through some of the other markets. So we looked at this upper supply. We wanted to make a higher high into it, right? We talked about that previously, so that had happened this morning. We talked about this level, and then we've talked about this level over here. That one had already happened, and I missed it this morning. So I had to end up just kind of catching the down move another way, right? But which one of those are we talking about? Let's see. Okay, the demand, yep, the 60-minute demand. You were talking about what you don't want to see. Talk about what I don't want to see. Let me revisit your question and see if it makes sense to me now. So I was saying what I don't want to see. To be honest with you, I don't even recall that, but that's okay. S or DVD, the RVM in a credit location, both be considered. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. Help me here. Let me make sure. I don't want to speak incorrectly or anything like that. But to answer your question, from what I think you're saying, no, they're not. So really, never, right? A VTC and the DVDs at the RVM and so on and so forth. No, I mean they're never going to be the same because by definition those are 2 completely different things. Now, can they both set up in the same location? Absolutely. In fact, I prefer that. I love it, you know. So if I get both of those at the right location and then we return to them, absolutely. In it to win it. Right? In it to win it. Yeah. I think that's what you were asking. Please specify a little bit further if I'm off there, if that's not what. And I'll come back to your question too, because I want to make sure if you type in something else, I want to make sure I get through it. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. The VIX is much lower, which coincides with that resistance above, right? So we want to watch out when the VIX is declining like that, and we're rallying substantially. Yeah, I would, again, folks. I just want to remind you. I want to be very, very careful up here with. Oh, I sorry, folks. Something just confused me, but I see there the support team. I believe they just popped in to see if things were resolved. So yeah, you know, low VIX, resistance, supply, smaller time frame supply. You know, all of this is lining up to say, you know, again, be very mindful. I don't want to be the buyer here. Yeah. So what we're doing, let's go further. Let's go a little bit. So before I conclude the remaining questions here, let's go a step further. What is happening as we speak? Okay? What's happening as we speak? We are accumulating. Do you see how we're going up? Like, number one, we hit the supply up here we predetermined. Then we go down, we hit the demand we predetermined. Okay, well, that makes sense. But what have we done since then? Nothing. Nothing. I told you that's where the battle, right? That's where the battles happen. So it's going to go to that area, and it's going to just start. If you could see me right now, which I guess I could turn my camera on, but I better not. I don't want to break your guys' machines or anything like that. But anyway, they're like what I call duking it out. You know, they're punching and boxing. They're in the boxing ring, so they're going at it. You know, this is like Mike Tyson, Holyfield kind of thing back in their primes, and they're just going at it right now. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want to jump in the ring when they're hitting one another. It's not ideal, definitely not. So now I'm trying to make the determination who is the better fighter, okay? It's that simple. Who's the better fighter? And then I can bet on them, right? If I want to have an edge in gambling, this is not gambling, but if I did in gambling, I would try my best to find the more probable candidate, right? Horse racing, whatever. I'm going to go check the horses, and I'm going to find the one that's, gets fed the best food and, doesn't get overtrained. I don't know what to look for in horses, by the way. But anyway, I would research it. I'd find out. So that's what we're doing right here is we're just researching. Okay? As the battle goes on, we're just researching. Research, research, research. And then here's your answer. Okie dokie. Got it. So when I get my answer, I can then react. Just like up here. Look at what happened. All that was battle, 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 conclusion. Got it. Da-da-da-da. There you go. Okay? Now, I see those everywhere. I see them all the time, Will, and why is it that I'm getting stopped? Now, remember, this is the common questions, right? So how am I getting stopped out on my trades more frequently and so on? And probably the best answer that I could give, in my opinion, would be very simple and basic. You're doing it in the wrong location and the wrong directions. I think that goes without saying. Hindsight, it was in the wrong location or wrong direction especially. But look at what we're doing and look at what we've said from the beginning of the session. I think I've repeated it 50 times. I'm joking. A lot, though, right? I didn't want to be the buyer here. And what has happened all morning? Well, we went down, not up. We haven't gone up at all. Remember what I said. If we make a higher high, I'll rinse and repeat. Okay? And as I went on further to say, I believed that this could get broken. But it was poor demand. Poor as in poor quality, right? So what it did is basically what we said. And now I don't know if it's going to break it, but I still believe it can. Okay, number one, that it just wasn't, it's not magnificent demand anyway, but more especially, it is in the wrong location. I mean, they're way in the wrong location. But as I pointed out earlier, this is the scalper's opportunity. So they take it, And they've already, they're going to close, they're scalpers, right? So they buy it, and then they just scalp it up. Okay, now I'm done. And then, and then we wonder, well, why didn't it just keep going and going and going? Well, because it never should have. At minimum, at maximum, we could, anticipate a bounce. So anyway, in this situation, it's accumulating, right? So we want to just watch what happens at this level. But I mean, there obviously a lot of trading went on there, up and down, up and down, up down, and that went on from, I don't know. I mean, it was pretty late. So that was 5, basically from yesterday's, pretty close to the close, right? So from yesterday. And this is overnight trading. So in and of itself, that tells me, well, it's probably not the absolute best anyway. So I'm trying to tell you guys, I guess I don't know how to put it in, I could put it 50,000 different ways. That way one of them will resonate with you. Expect a bounce. Why? Because there's demand there. Yeah, that's simple. Anticipate that it's going to go through it because it's poor quality demand in the wrong location. Right? That's what I want you to hear. Okay, so an area that we predetermined 3 weeks ago, roughly, I don't know, you guys can tell me exactly when it was, I don't know, might have been 2.5 or 2 weeks ago, but it was a long time. So anyway, that has become superior to this, and we would have known that, we should have known that the whole time we did, but I'm just saying in general, the supply should exceed the demand. So, all right, so strong drop right here. Do you see how we're coming back down to this right here? Okay, so watch what's happening as we speak. So it's going to pause right there for just a second and then go through it, because here's what's happening. Let me say it as fast as I can, because so there you go. You see how it's bouncing like that? Okay, now here's what's happening. Most of the time, people go in, they'll jump into this, and they'll say, let me trade this demand level. Okay, well, then they fail. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is why people ask all the time, why are my levels failing? Why can't, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not a level that we look for anyway. That's not, that doesn't constitute true demand right there. Didn't we predetermine that? So absolutely. So stop thinking that this is demand when that's the reaction to what we had previously discussed. That doesn't even make sense, you know? So we're saying here's demand an hour in advance, right? And then we get there and we show that there are, yeah, that was demand, but then we get a bounce from it and then we go, oh, there's demand. No. That's the reaction to the demand, okay? That's why, in my opinion, I believe the people who are not getting their levels right, generally speaking, that's the most prominent, issue that I've seen. Okay, so this is not demand, yeah? All right, very good. That's a very different picture, isn't it? Look at that one, and look at that picture up there. Look, you see that? Very different picture. Very different picture. Yeah, map those out. All right, I might have missed it, but could you tell me what the PFA tab selector is? Yeah, and you see that failing over there? Kind of makes sense, right? All right, so what's going to happen right now? It's going to bounce back up a little bit, and then go ahead and take out this 47, I imagine. Again, I'm not trying to say I'm always right there. For sure I'm not, but I believe at minimum we can take out this one level. And I'm going to remind you of what I said earlier. If we fell way back today, I would be absolutely willing to go over, let either find a demand level on the 6-minute chart, but what I would prefer, I'd just be patient. Just let it happen. So I'm going to wait for price to decline to a better area, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait for a demand level to populate on the 60-minute chart. And yeah, in other words, it's not that I'm not willing to buy. I'm just not willing to buy here. Okay, I need the price to go down. I need to get that discount. Come on, Best Buy, send it over. Send it over. All right, there goes the level. See, yep. All right, very good. Now it's nice to watch this in real time too, because when you go through this and you look back, you're like, oh, that level just completely failed. No, it didn't. It didn't. And that's the same. Imagine having one down bar right here, right? Just one bar. Now, these are hourly, so if I go up to a 4-hour chart, that's what you're going to see, just one bar, right? So I want you to just think about intra-bar, what you don't see. Not always, but almost always, you're going to get a bounce from the levels. If it's a poor level, it'll be a tiny bounce perhaps, and it'll blow through it. If it's an amazing level and in the right location, you're probably going to reverse there, at least temporarily. If it's an amazing level and it's in the wrong location, you might get a bounce there. Okay, so that's just kind of how that's going to work. So again, look right here. All right, this is not, again, let me say this very clear. This is not a demand level that would meet my criteria. So I wouldn't be trading this level down here, but suffice to say it is there. Okay. So we're likely going to go down to about 41.40, excuse me, maybe just below that, and then bounce, sorry about that, and then maybe bounce up from there a little bit, yeah? Okay. And now I already know where there's some more, supply. Again, this level I would not validate this level as a sell setup. So neither the supply, really the only supply that's met would be this one up here this morning, and of course the one we had predetermined from however long ago. Yeah, as I told you, I felt we would get a bounce, but I ultimately thought we would break through this one. Okay, so on the downside, and yeah, again, it just makes sense because of the location, right? All right, let me get through the questions really quick. 1 second. Oh, back to the tab selector. Yeah, let me show you that. Definitely walk you through this real quick. So the tab selector is amazing. Simple tool, very simple tool. The magician behind the curtain here is he's good. So what this does is the tab, I've named them, right? So we could go in and we can specify however many tabs I want for all intents and purposes. See, we have tab number 5 down here, right? So it'll just, you name it whatever. If I go over here, I can give it a name. So I can name it whatever I want, but I'm going to take this back to 4 because all I have are 4 tabs down here. Okay, but yeah, so if I want, what it does, you know how I'm doing this all the time, and then when we're doing our analysis, we go through the markets and things like that. Think of it as like a manual scanner of sorts, right? So if I can click this, it's not going to do anything because all my tabs are on that. So essentially, this is going to say, all right, tab number 1 is tab number 1 across all the charts, right? So if I say click for NQ, watch what happens on all the different charts. See what just happened? Yeah. So it went to the second. It went to the second tab on all of the charts. Okay. So give me just 1 second, folks. Okay, guys, sorry. Yeah, so it selects the tab, but it just pops everything over to it really fast for it to be. Remember, I was talking about efficiency earlier. It's just all about being efficient. Yeah. So if I tap, do this number here. By the way, looking at this, let me just go ahead and do this real quick. Remember the level that we had. Remember this level right here we had pointed out on gold. That level, my goodness, it got tested galore. You can see where I manually put in the line there, but so we got 1, 2, well really 3 right there, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot of retests of that area, right? A lot of retests, and we just kept kind of rejecting it, if you will. And then what ended up happening is we accumulated demand just shy of the level, and obviously we've gotten a substantial rally from there. So I need to do a little bit further. Now we've been in here a little bit too long today, though. I don't want to. I can do stuff, really fast, but at least we got to have some fun on the S&P using that order suite, right? So the order suite's where it's at. All right, very good. Yeah, so but I do want to be mindful of this. I can see that gold is, we better sit tight real quick. This is coming up into a substantial. Look at that 2050. So on the smaller time frames, what I would be doing here is utilizing the software to populate some supply levels for me. Yeah. So yeah, I'd be looking at gold in a bit of a bearish state of play here. Most especially too, we just got a vertical rally, so that tells me that we're likely to we could decline just equally as fast. Okay, and the fact that it rallied like that directly into that larger supply, that tells me the same thing. Remember, if it goes straight up like that, there was no sell. Again, I'm exaggerating, but no willing sellers over here. Well, if there's no willing sellers here, don't you think they're waiting right up here? Right, they're somewhere always, but where are they? Well, then we need to go find them. So what I do is I'll wait for, I let the supply occur, and then I put this puppy to use right here, and yeah, go to town. All right, let's look at natural gas. Also, natural gas, we got, so here was our level. If we look at it like this, remember we were looking for price to come back, give us a bounce play off of that there. It definitely did. That was a really nice one. And we eventually made a lower low here. So what I'm going to do is sit tight on, I believe that we made larger time frame lower low, right? Yeah, okay. So we've made a complete lower low here. Here's what I'm going to do there. I'm going to look for now demand. Okay, so on the buy side, I know that's crazy because we just exponential declines. That's okay. If it goes lower, I'll rinse and repeat. And I can't do it right now, as unfortunate as this is. I wish that we would have been talking about this yesterday. We could have had a different conversation, see? Because once we arrive in this area, you see that demand that formed there, okay? Then, that becomes what I'm looking for. So I'll take and rinse and repeat that, is what I'm saying. Either or, we rally from there again, which is not relevant to me because I wouldn't trade this again. But I'm just saying we rally from there without taking out this low. What I would then need to see is a new significant demand level to form, and then I would trade the new one. But it can't be a part of this, right? It needs to be away from that. Now, conversely, and what I would more prefer is that we do make a lower low. So we go to 2 or lower, right? The number 2 here on natural gas. So we go down, we make a lower low, and I rinse and repeat this process right there. That's preferable for me. That's what I would like to do. But again, we don't always get what we want. Okay. I know that many of you have learned that the hard way. I'm sure of it. All right. So, but anyway, so yeah, there's that. And then there you go. We didn't quite make it down into this level. Well, we made it the entirety. Kind of the same thing you keep hearing me say, right? So there's the entirety. No, we didn't even touch the entirety. There you go. Nope, we came a couple ticks shy of it. But anyway, you're getting that bounce up. All of this is fine, well, and good. So I'm going to sit tight on this today because this is not going to be, these are not optimal trading conditions. Reason being, if I want to be the buyer, I'm buying right up into, I mean, this is just not okay. All right? If I want to be the seller, I missed that shot this morning. Now, well, I guess I got the little one while we were here in class, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that I can't get another one, okay? So two things. I want to wait for supply. I'm going to wait for supply, which we've already seen supply here on the 60-minute chart exceed that demand, which is great. However, what I'll do is I'll wait for price to go back up, and then over here I'm gonna let it break higher, okay? And then I'm just going to let that supply level form, exactly how this one did, and then I'm going to, right? All right. So I'll go over here and I'll look for new supply to form all the way down to the smaller time frame if we go over here and make a higher high. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right, folks, let me get through the questions real quick, and then I'll kind of end on that. Glad we got to put the order suite to play. You know, and I really want to go through, if there's any questions that you all have about it, now would be the time to ask. I can do that really fast because these are pretty easy questions to address, but definitely want to go through, mind you, you wouldn't see all of this with the order suite, right? But go into those order inputs, and there's some massive functionality in through here, right? Whereas we can, remember, so if I wanted to, I could specify a different instrument. I'm here on the E-mini, right? But if I wanted to submit orders to the micro E-mini, well, that's easy, right? I could do both that, my primary and or secondary menu. All I have to do is specify that market, right? So I could go here, select the MES, okay, like so, and if I want to see the default order types, that means like, you know, when they're submitted and the NinjaTrader chart trading looking default style, so it'll submit those orders of sorts, right? Or I could leave it at trigger lines, and so on and so forth. But I can do it however I want, and then which one did I? If I hover my mouse, did I do it? Oh, I just closed it out, didn't I? No, thought I did. Hold on, let me go see. Oh, okay, yeah. So right here where it says submit orders to, what I'm going to do is change that to the hedge instrument, and if you read right here, this is the hedge instrument. Okay, MES, June 23, excuse me. And from the secondary orders, that's to say this icon here, I don't want to go to the default instrument, I want to go to the hedge instrument. Okay? Apply that. I go here. You can see that's MES. Let's say something like this. Now read that label right there. MES, right? Buying MES, 41.52. Okay.
Order filled.
Uh-oh, where's my order? Oh, it's there, but it's on the MES. Okay, you see that right there? It's tracking it. So it says micro S&P, June 23, order filled. P&L is currently $12.50, $25, and so on and so forth, right? Okay. So if we did something like this, I could just, sure, a daily chart's fine. Okay. See my order? It's on the micro E-mini, and that's where the order's coming in. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my SP tab, and then I can manage that. Let me go get my target.
Order filled.
Okay. Now I'll close my position. All right. Yeah, so there's all kinds of great functionality in here, things that we can talk about. There's so much that I want to continuously train and show the capabilities, things to that extent. So again, let me just run through that really quick. In the order inputs here, what I did is I'm controlling, I have two menus up here, right? Primary, if I hover my mouse over it, I'll see that. Primary entry menu, market, S&P, June, account, etc. Secondary entry, and all the details there. So I can hover my mouse if I just want to quickly see without having to bring up my settings. Because for me, I pretty much do things and then I don't really ever bring up the settings, to be honest with you, just because I have it the way that I wanted it anyway. So I'll have that and I'll have it done, and then I can, if I just want to hover the mouse, I can get a little pop up there. But again, if I go into the settings, I can, of course, make them from here. Now, what if I wanted to do that, but I wanted to always, what if I just said, you know what, I want to always submit my orders to the micro S&P from the S&P, the E-mini. You might wonder why you would do that. Okay, I'm not, as I would never do, I'm not making any recommendation. You do whatever you want. I'm showing you the functionality. What I like to do, however, if I'm going to do that, I like to get the data from the E-mini. And I like to do that myself because, number one, we have ample amounts of historical data. The micro E-mini is newer, so it's not going to have years and years and years and years worth of historical data, right? Put on a weekly or monthly chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, so it's just a consistency factor. So what I could do is say, you know what, I want all my orders to go to the micro. Okay, well, I got that. So then I need to go to my primary here, and I need to select the MES on that. I need to make sure that I say go to that hedge instrument, which in this case is also set to the MES. Now I have a determination to make. Do I want to use trigger lines or do I want to use default? Okay, it's neither here nor there. So let's say that for all intents and purposes, I just want to play for a second. And let's say that I want to use default. Okay, let me show you what that picture looks like. And for all intents and purposes, to make this easy, I'm just going to submit these on the default instrument, so you see what I'm talking about. And then good till canceled or day. The standard stuff, right? MIT market of touch, limit. What do I want? I'm using market of touched orders. Could be limit, could be whatever. But it's the S&P futures, so I mean, it's one of the most liquid markets in the world. I've seen some slippage, but not a lot myself, and so I'm okay with that, but that's an acceptance that I've made. Otherwise, I just need to submit a limit order, right? Yeah. So anyway, all right, so I want to do it like that, and what I've now said is I'm submitting orders to the default instrument, so this essentially becomes irrelevant because I'm not going to the hedge instrument anyway. I'm going to the default instrument. So that's okay. I can leave that, or I could remove it. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use the default version of submitting orders, and I am going to continue those until canceled. I'm going to use market of touched orders, and entry offsets and all that stuff, nah. Stop limit offset, I could give it a breathing room of 1 tick, but I don't give it much. And the reason for that is, again, a personal preference, but I don't like to give it much room. If I'm going to submit an order somewhere, I want it, that's where I want. If I could get that perfect price, of course, those are limit orders that are better, but again, I'm okay with a little bit of slippage. Suffice to say, though, I'm not okay with much. So if I'm using a stop limit order, I'm only going to allow 1 tick of slippage. And then I want to use my OCO bracket. I don't need a break-even trigger point. I don't need the entry zone, and so the adapt zone becomes irrelevant if the entry zone is not being used as well. So I'm going to go apply that. Okay, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down. I'm going to buy the market.
Order submitted.
Okay, there you go. And in such a case, you see the default orders, right? So let's see if I can get that. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Just joking, guys, and go. Oh boy, he's a funny one, let me tell you. In my other line of work, you know, I get booed off of the stage for stand-up comedy, right? I'm just kidding, I don't do that, but I would be terrible at it, so that's, you know, maybe one reason I don't do it. But anyway, all that horrible joking aside, this is what I'm talking about. It just so you can see there how it was just a different method of entry, right? Instead of using the trigger lines, it used a default version, which submitted the orders directly to the exchange. If I'm using trigger lines, those orders are never seen on the exchange because they don't exist. They aren't there. They only get submitted when that's why we call them trigger lines. It triggers the entry, okay? So that's the difference. And, you know, there is no right or wrong. It just kind of is what it is. If I'm a longer term trader, I might opt for the default version, right? Because I don't want to what if I lose connectivity or something over weeks or whatever. You know, even if I'm swing trading, maybe I opt for the default version. If I'm doing some short term, you know, day trading, I absolutely myself would like the trigger lines. But that's just, again, all personal preference. The functionality is there, okay? All right, folks, let me make sure I don't miss any questions, and I'm going to head out. Oh, good. Yeah, and you're very welcome. That's awesome. Okay. It is specific to a DVD happening at the RVM. Yes, correct. That's correct. Going back to your question, Brian. Yes, that is correct. Yep. Happening right there at that very specific location. Am I running, Ari, you were asking, am I running the wrong order suite in the master window? I show current version is 3.104. Yeah, you can update to 3.105. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. But latest release below says 3.105. Correct. Yeah. Do I need to update and how? So there's documentation, but since you already have 3.104, it should be just as simple as installing the new version. It will essentially overwrite the old version and templates. But here, let me provide you with the documentation anyway. And just so you know, it is in your membership guide as well. So if you go to, hold on just one second, let me get you this. Okay. All right, Ari, we're going to go, I'm going to send this directly to you, sir. There you go. Yep. So what you want to do is just, those are the instructions for updating the software. But again, we have made even further advancements. So I'm always going to leave this process up there because it's just how NinjaTrader architecture is and so on. But we've made advancements so that you really don't have to, like for example, in the documentation it's going to tell you to uninstall the old version before you install the new version. You really don't need to do that anymore, but it's always a safe, way of doing it. So, yeah. But anyway, so as far as that goes, is getting the latest version, all you need to do is log in to your membership. To just log into the website, it'll auto direct you to your membership guide, and then you just scroll down where it says download the software, and it's always there. The latest version will always be there. So if you get that notification that says, hey, there's a new version available, just know that you can immediately go download it. Yeah, from your membership. Is there documentation for the PFA tab select feature? No, not at the current moment. I will create it, but it's super. I think I could probably just tell you how to do it here in a matter of a minute. Yeah, but I don't think there's a requirement for a lot of documentation. But if you have specific questions, you let me know. So again, the way that it works is tab 1 is for every tab 1 on your chart. Tab 2, 3 corresponds to the tab on all of the charts. And then, so you can specify as many as you want up to 20. And right here, you can name that. So if you see right here, ES, I just named it the market that I've, but I could go here and name it, tab 1. If I go put a new tab, that's what it's going to be anyway, tab 5, right? So it just depends on, but you can name it whatever you want. Yeah, you can definitely name it whatever you want. And that's the settings tab. But again, when I click it, it's just going to take me to that corresponding tab on all the charts. So the beautiful thing about this is because here's what we spend so much time going through all these, bunch of markets and so on and so forth. And then what I ended up doing was going to each chart and clicking, I had to click every tab, and this is not just me, this is, most people, right? So, yeah, the magician was just like, hey, let's create a tool here that knocks that out for us. Because see how easy that was? All I did was click one button and everything's there for me. I want to go look at gold. Great, I got all the time frame. So as I said before, think of it like a manual scanner. So if I had 10 markets, let's say, okay, and then I could line them up on my tabs or whatever, and then I can literally just go, hey, let's look at, let's see if we're coming into some supplier demand today or whatever. Oh, there's the S&P, NASDAQ, gold, natural gas. I'm not seeing anything, so let me keep going. Okay, well, you know what I'm saying. And just flip through. I can do it, bam, 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 really fast, yeah. And that's what that is. I will create some documentation perhaps, but yeah, hopefully that one's pretty straightforward, from the beginning. And then the way to add it, though, this is not an indicator. This happens from the control center. You'd select New, and down at the very bottom there will be PFA tab selector. And we'll come back to that, more information on that to come. Very good, very good, very good. All right. Please show what? What were you asking? Please show it. What were you asking to show? Or have already shown it? Yeah, I haven't distributed, just to be clear, I have not distributed the PFA tab selector as of yet, yeah, as far as completely. Yeah, so in other words, it's not on your chart already or anything like that, or in your machine. Yeah, so this is not included in the installer. I'll likely create a different installer for that. Or I could put it in the same, I don't know, we'll see, but I'll notify you guys about that, yeah. And then as far as how to activate it, you were asking, yeah, well, this is a floating window too, you see that? So it's not an indicator, like it doesn't, think of it as like a chart window. This is an entire window in and of itself. So yeah, you could put that anywhere. And then it is from the NinjaTrader control center. All right, so if I bring this over, I'm just going to basically what I was going to do here is I'm going to show you this, but then you just go to New here, okay, and PFA tab selector. Again, it's not going to be there yet because I haven't distributed it yet, but that's how that would occur. Just New, and then just like you were going to put a new chart on your window, you just put a new tab selector. Okay, folks, thank you for your kind comment, by the way, Park. I appreciate that. Hey, God bless you all. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Contact me if you want to get the order suite and all that stuff. You need assistance with getting it set up. It's pretty easy, and if you update, if you need assistance, let us know. But again, that's also pretty easy. At this point, as long as you have, I believe, 4.104, or it might have even been 4.103, but let's say 4.104. If you have that or newer version installed on your machine, it should just, you really should just be able to install the new software, and it'll essentially override everything to where you don't have to uninstall the old version. But yeah, it's there. All right, let me know. Thanks for everything, folks. I hope today was advantageous. Again, it's always the function of the market that's what's important to us. We want to understand that, conceptualize it, rinse and repeat over and over and over and over again so we can anticipate the future movement of price. Always beneficial, right? Take care. Bye for now.